Okay, so let's start. This is the Second Macedonian War. Again, we're history buffs here. We're not professionals. So this is the disposition right before the Second Macedonian War, and I just want to pay attention specifically to all of the participants. So do you see my cursor, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here is a little piece of the heel Italian peninsula. This is the heel of it, okay? So you understand for orientation, this is Adriatic Sea, this is Illyria, and the green is the territory under the protection of Rome. This resulted as a part of the agreement after the First Macedonian War. So this is the Illyria, and especially Apollonia is a very important place where the Rome would concentrate its troops for further incursion into Greece. And of course, Corcyra, which is currently the island of Corfu, you know it like as that, is also part of it as a part of the agreement. So now there is also Kingdom of Epirus here, not very particularly important here, but here is the Macedonia. So you'll see the huge Macedonia. The major battle of the Second War happened here, and Sonocephalai, you know, it's in here. So we will talk about this extensively. And of course, the other thing is that the Sparta was ravaged as a result of these actions by Romans. Now, on Greek territory, very important, Aetolian League, which is located mostly in Thessaly, and Achaean League, which is also a very important player here. As you could see, the text, the territory in Peloponnesus of Achaea and Argolis, and including Corinth, and Boeotia. There are also independent Greek states, which is Elis and Laconia and Messenia at this point. Now, here, these are also independent Greek islands. Here you see very important kingdom of Pergamon under the king Attalus. And Caria, by the way, is part of Macedonian Empire, also as a result of the First Macedonian War. It's kind of like, also as you see, all the Cycladic islands are part of Macedonia at this point. Now, after the end of the empire of Alexander the Great, as we know, there are three major Hellenistic states appeared. Macedonia is one of them, Seleucid Kingdom in the Asia, and what we don't see here is the Ptolemaic Egypt, and these are three major players, you know, before, especially before the Roman incursion into Greece. So now that, any questions about the disposition?
Yeah, maybe you could just talk a little bit about what happened at the end of the First Macedonian War that you know was a setup to this.
Yes, in the First Macedonian War, you know, there was an uprising in Illyria that Romans suppressed. Demetrius also was part of this. There were a couple of them, and that's as a result of that we have this Illyria now under protection of Rome, and a number of engagement with Philip V, who is the king of Macedonia, basically led to the treaty at this point, and you know, this is the dispositions that happen. Anything you want to add, Paul?
Yeah, I'd add that the Romans made a big deal after the First Macedonian War of basically withdrawing from Greece and declaring the freedom of the Greek states. And the Romans, were presenting themselves as liberators of the Greeks. And at that time, the Aetolian League were their allies. Basically, in the First Macedonian War, the Romans said, okay, we're letting you Greeks, we're giving you freedom from the Macedonians, and we're going to let you rule yourself. And then that's kind of the setup for this war.
Okay. All right. So now I also want to introduce you to the major players here. So this is Philip V from the coin. This is the King of Macedon, a big player in all of these wars. As you could see, he ruled for quite a long time. Obviously was diminished later on. Well, this is the Antiochus III the Great. This is the king of Seleucid state in Asia, and this is the Ptolemy V Epiphanes. Epiphanes means glorious, but that's later on. So the situation here, as you could see, he was born only in 2010. So what really happened, and this is in Egypt, and this is the prelude to the war. So this is the Ptolemaic Age of Egypt, and this is the kingdom, Seleucid kingdom. This is the kind of contested territory constantly, and usually those three empires, Seleucid, Macedonian, and Ptolemaic Egypt, they kind of existed in some kind of equilibrium. When one of them become particularly very strong, then the other two would unite and kind of oppose it. But by this time, there was a major problem in Egypt. What happened is that the Ptolemy V that we talked about is the son of previous king Ptolemy IV and Arsinoe III. They died under very mysterious circumstances. Most likely they were poisoned, and he came to power when he was 5 years old in 205. And clearly he was not a ruler. So Agathocles was the main advisor. He kind of like become a regent, but he was not respected by many, and he was very ineffective. And in 2002, there was a revolution that happened. You see, the Macedonian Greeks, they, as you know, had this territory for a few generations, but Upper Egypt was less influenced by Greek culture. It was still more kind of into Egyptian. So the revolt happened that basically separated Upper Egypt from the Lower Egypt and the rule in Alexandria. So there were two self-proclaimed pharaohs in Thebes, one after the other, Horwefner and Ahwefner, and they revolted. Lower Egypt became independent, and at this point, Seleucid kingdom and Macedonians, they decided to take advantage of this weakness and maybe start a problem. Specifically, Antiochus III, he started what they called a fifth Syrian war, really trying to get more territory in this contested area. Obviously, he was a serious threat. And Ptolemy the fifth actually asked Rome for alliance. Also, at this point, just wanted to point out the two other powers in the Aegean. Let me see this main map. As you could see, the islands of Rhodes is an independent state, and Kingdom of Pergamum, you know, these are kind of like neighbors of Seleucia. They became very concerned of what's going on, and they sent envoys to Rome, both of them advising Rome to intervene because saying that there is a secret treaty between Macedonia and the Seleucid kingdom, you know, to take advantage of the situation of where weakened Egypt and also take advantage of the situation in the Mediterranean. So just an interesting information. Ptolemy V actually came of age later on in 196 and assumed the rule. And it is very interesting that it is to commemorate his crowning as a pharaoh. There was a big stone stela created describing this a very important event, and this stone is actually known as the Rosetta Stone. As you know, this is the most important finding in deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, hieroglyphs, because and it is interesting that this stone basically commemorates the ascension to the power of this Philip V, Philip Epiphanes in 196. So Rosetta Stone, as you know, was found during Napoleon invasion into Egypt, and later on Champollion was actually credited a lot with deciphering. So there it's written in 3 languages, as you could see. You know, the upper is the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and then there is a Demotic Egyptian language, which is the Egyptian language in what they eventually called Coptic, I think. It was like used after the alphabet development. And then also there is a Greek language there. And that's how it was deciphered, because it's the same text in 3 languages. And especially we know Greek language. We knew, at the time they knew Greek language, and they compared it at how they deciphered the Egyptian hieroglyph. So it's very important, and it is related to this. So as I said, ambassadors from Pergamon and Rhodes came to Rome, and they were arguing that Rome should interfere. So at this point, also in 2001, Philip, and this is before the real war started, Philip also launched the campaign in Asia Minor, besieging the Ptolemaic city of Samos. This is the island of Samos, also capturing city of Miletus. Again, let me go to the main map so you see where it is. So you see, this is the Samos, okay, and this is the Miletus. So these are the important cities. So he captured this, and now it became part of the. So at this point, Pergamon decided that this is too much, and they invaded Caria. You see the Caria here, and also Athens at this point was having tension with Philip, and they made a formal declaration of war with Philip. You know, you see the Athens right here in Attica. So Philip dispatched a force of 2,000 infantry and 200 cavalry to invade Attica and besiege the city of Athens. The city still has the walls. So that was a major, major thing. So at this point, Livy describes this situation in Rome as following, because they now arguing whether to interfere or not. So the council gathered General Assembly of citizens on the field of Mars in Rome, and people were exhausted by recent Second Punic War, as you know, just finished. And before voting, council gave the following argument. So he said that before Hannibal invasion of Italy, citizens of Spanish city Saguntum begged Rome for help. And Saguntum was the city, a city that had an alliance with Rome. This is the city in Spain, on the eastern coast of Spain. And actually, as a matter of fact, this alliance gave Hannibal the reason to start the war with the Second Punic War. So, but when Hannibal besieged Saguntum, Romans were light and they didn't respond. And as a result, Hannibal took the city, and eventually, after 8 months of siege, the city fell. And here the argument that council did to Romans is that if Rome would have helped Saguntum with the war with Hannibal, then the war would have been contained to Spain, and Rome wouldn't have avoided a horrendous damage and loss of Roman lives. Now, how can we let Athens to fall at the hands of Philip? So the next thing we see as a result of this, council arguing that the next thing, if the Athens will fall, we will see Macedonian army in Italy. Very similarly, what happened to Hannibal. So at this point, after these arguments, Rome gave Philip an ultimatum that he must cease his campaign against Rome's new Greek allies. Doubting Rome's strength, at this point, Philip thought Rome is too weakened after the war. Philip decided to ignore this request, and it kind of surprised Romans, you know, because they showed their strength in the first war. So, and the war with Carthage was finished, and at this point, because Philip ignored them, Romans felt that their honor and reputation on the line, and they escalated the conflict by sending an army of Romans and Greek allies to force the issue, beginning the Second Macedonian War. So that was all prelude. So now the war starts.
So, Greg, quick question: how was Romans were so effective in persuading other Greek states to, you know, post the opposition to Philip? I mean, even during the first war, the Aegean League was defected because the Rome was able to persuade them. I mean, they're not Greeks. I mean, how are they able to do that?
Well, believe it or not, the Achaean League was persuaded by force. They actually felt that they better stick with the winner. I think that's, you know, it's a very complicated political game.
Let me add that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Greek states had been struggling against the Macedonians since they were conquered by Philip. The Greeks never accepted being vassals of the Macedonians. So they were always ready, if they found a powerful ally, and sometimes even when they didn't, to revolt against the Macedonians. That's been going on for more than 100 years. So they were prime to be, when they found this powerful Rome, and Rome had, as I had said before, had this reputation of being generous to the Greeks. They said, well, this is a no-brainer. We'll go with we're going to ally ourselves with the Romans.
Interesting. And also what I've read is Rome saw it as the liberators of Greeks, which going further in history, we would know it's not the case.
Well, the point is that the first time they really were the liberators of the Greeks, they left Greece they didn't loot Greece. They didn't take any territorial acquisitions. It's kind of like saying, okay, now we're going to leave you guys. And then they got dragged back in again.
Right. They never saw themselves as aggressors. In that point of view, I mean, that's an interesting fact. All right,
Okay.
digress. Sorry.
Anyone else has questions?
Yeah, this is an interactive type of thing, guys. And anybody has questions on the Rosetta Stone, I'm particularly very, very, very intrigued by the fact that how did we not find more Rosetta Stones, especially in like Sumerian, to Akkadian languages and any other languages that could translate from hieroglyphs to Greek to Coptic and all this other stuff, because it would be amazing. There's going to be some languages that died because of it.
But you know that Behustin in the mountains in Persia, Behustin rock also played a big role in deciphering the cuneiforms. They was found also early on, but also it was found in 19th century. Okay, so what's important about the Rosetta Stone, we did find a lot of inscriptions in Egyptian, is that the same text was written in three forms, two of them in Egyptian and ancient Egyptian that we didn't really know that well, because Egyptian and also the same text was in Greek and ancient Greek, and that helped. All right, so on the March of 200 BCE, new consuls, Publius Sulpicius Galba and Gaius Aurelius Cotta, took office in Rome. And in light of reports from embassies from Pergamon, Rhodes, and Athens, they were assigned the task of dealing with troubles in Macedonia. And specifically, Publius Sulpicius Galba, was assigned this role, and he recruited troops and departed to Brundisium, which is in southern Italy, and crossed Adriatic, starting this war. He also picked some of the veterans from Punic War, and he landed in Apollonia. And the Navy was stationed in Corcyra. So this is the Apollonia, very important city, port, where the army landed, and fleet was stationed at Corcyra. So while these events have been taking place, Philip himself also undertaken another campaign in Dardanelles, which is right here, okay? And specifically, he attacked the city of Abidos, because at this point, Pergamum is allied with Rome. They send it. So he took, and Polybius specifically tells this story about the Siege of Abidos. So, and Philip, grown impatient, and sent message to besieged city that the walls would be stormed, and that if anybody wished to commit suicide or surrender, they had 3 days to do so. So he was hoping to intimidate the citizens of Abydos, this is mostly Greek, it's a Greek colony, into submission, maybe surrendering, However, the citizens of Abydos promptly killed all women and children of the city, threw their valuables into the sea, and fought to the last man. So that's pretty interesting story, kind of like heroic self-immolation of the whole city, of all the citizens. So they fought, that most of them died. So nothing was left, not in terms of riches, because they threw all the gold and silver into the sea, and not much of slaves could be retrieved from there. All of them died. So Athenians now were besieged by Macedonian forces, and they sent an appeal to Apollonia and Corcyra, and Gaius Claudius Sento was sent with 20 ships and 1,000 men to aid them. And once that happened, so the ships went around, they attacked the Macedonian force besieging Athens, and they withdrew. So they withdrew from Attica to their base in Corinth. So their base in Corinth right here, that's where they came. So during this time, Sulpicius established his base, and the force under Lucius Apustius was sent to raid the western border of Macedonia, capturing and razing a number of cities, including Antipatrea and Codrion. So this is this raid described here. It's raiding Western Macedonia. Following this expedition, Sulpicius received the alliance of Illyrians, the Dardanians. This is the Illyrians from here, Dardanians from here. So these tribes, they allied with Rome at this point. And also the diplomatic efforts of Philip and Sulpicius also, with the Athenians' help, they centered on Aetolian League, because they both tried to attract Aetolian League to its coast, Philip and Sulpicius, the Roman, and Athens kind of like trying to talk, so it's a diplomatic efforts. And actually, Aetolian League seemed to be inclined to support Romans, but they decided to stay neutral for a while. So at the end of the winter of 200 BCE, Sulpicius led his troops east through the territory of Docertaia, and Philip gathered 20,000 infantry and 4,000 cavalry. Okay, let me see if we see this city. Let me go and then see another map here. Oh, I'm going the other way. Okay. Yeah, that's the, yes. So this is the map. This is the Docertaia. That's where he gathered the troop, and he leads them into this battle here. So that's where Philip, I want to make sure that you see where this happening in terms of, let me show you. You see, that's the raid he led here. It's still the same raid. It's somewhere in this area. That's what we see here. Okay, this area here. Okay. All right. So Philip gathered 20,000 infantry, 4,000 cavalry. Livy describes the following event as follows. Philip noticed that Romans are in disarray, not expecting immediate action. They kind of like, they didn't form any lines. They didn't expect that they're going to start. They figured that they'll start tomorrow, maybe battle, and put in line. So Philip ordered his cavalry to fall upon various groups of Romans and directed his infantry to capture Roman camp. And after a series of indecisive skirmishes, Macedonians stumbled on some organized resistance. There was, commander managed to rally Roman troops, put them in order, and they started to fight for real. So in one of the skirmishes, Philip lost his horse and was almost trampled on by his own retreating troops. One soldier recognized him and gave him his own horse, and dying as a result of this act, he was killed very quickly, and Philip barely escaped with his own life. So after this, Philip retreated, shaken. It was kind of disorganized battle, but he was in danger. The king was in danger. So, and now the news came that Dardanians, and these are the another Illyrian tribe, as I see right here, you see Dardanians invaded. Okay, so so he sent troops to stand up to them, and Sulpicius. By the way, when in this battle, Sulpicius sent troops to follow Philip, and Philip blocked the pass in Irodea. This is continuation of that battle. You see, he blocked the pass, but Romans managed to force that pass, and actually ravaged another city, Seletrium. This is, and then Pelion. This is all the Macedonian territory. So it was kind of a successful incursion, making a lot of damage, fighting a good battle. At the same time, Roman fleet that was left in Corcyra. Let me see. No, yeah. Let me see. So you see this Corcyra here. This is the Roman fleet here. So they decided to raid Cycladic Islands. So it just went all the way around into the Cycladic Islands, specifically the island of Andros, which is right here. So let me go here into Cycladic Islands. So you see, this is the island of Andros. So now they sailed over there. They also rendezvoused with King Attalus of Pergamon, who helped them, and they combined fleet, launched assault on Macedonian military base on the island of Andros and seized it for Pergamon. So they got the island of and gave it to Pergamon as a because it's a major ally. So at this point, Democritus, the strategoi of Aetolian League, decided that it's time to join the war on the Roman side. So at this point, the Aetolian League in Thessaly joined on the Roman side. Together with King of Magnesia, they continued to ravage Thessaly, and Philip suddenly appeared and completely defeated their forces. Unfortunately, let me go to this map here. So this is the Aetolian League. So they went into the they went into here in this area. This is not the main battle yet, but Philip managed to stall them and defeat them. Okay, in Rome, meanwhile, the new consul took office on March 15th, 199, Publius Vilius Tapulus. He was allotted Macedonian, his province, so he crossed the Adriatic to Corcyra, where he replaced Sulpicius in command of the army, but he got tied up dealing with mutiny, because so he's right here, the Punic War veterans felt that it was unfair that they were forced to continue war. They already fought one war, so they had a mutiny and they had grievances. So the way he dealt with this, he said that I will send notes to the Senate and ask them to release you. And it kind of got hung up. So, but as a result of it, he was ineffective. He couldn't do anything. Senate ordered recruitment of 8,000 new infantry, 800 cavalry. So now, command of Macedonia, the new year started, the new consul is usually elected for 1 year. Now the commands moved to and given to very important figure in this war, Titus Quinticus Flamininus in 198. So he was not 30 years old yet. Let me see. That's Titus Quinticus Flamininus. Okay. So he was not yet 30 years old. He was what they call Philhellen, which is the lover of Greek culture and everything Greek. And he belonged to the minor patrician gen called Quintia. And his family was had a glorious place in early history of Rome, because one of his ancestors was Lucius Quinticus Cincinnatus, who saved Rome in 458 from threat of Equi, tribe of Equi. So in 199, Flamininus ran for consulship, where he was not even 30 years old. He was even younger than Scipio Africanus, who elected consul in 31, and already had an impressive military record and prestigious family support. In contrast, Flamininus came from a smaller family and could not boast any notable achievement during the war against Hannibal. Plutarch tells us that he owed his succession to his land distribution in the commissions that made him popular among the settlers who voted for him in return. So what happened is, after the end of the Punic War, Flamininus was a prominent member of a commission that allotted land to the veterans of the Punic War, and he was very sympathetic to them, was very generous, and as a result, he became very popular. And apparently, all of these veterans voted for him, and that's how he was elected more as a result of this, rather than some military achievements. So after his election in 198, he was chosen to replace current consul. So he crossed Adriatic, dismissed Vilius, and then he chased Philip out of most of the Greece, except for a new fortress, and then defeated him. Let me see. And defeated him in the Battle of Achis, and then his term was coming to the end, term as a consul. But during the negotiations, Flamininus was made a proconsul, and giving him authority to continue the war rather than finishing negotiation. And in 197, he finally defeated Philip, and this was a final and major battle of Cynocephalae in Thessaly. And in this battle, the Roman legions making Macedonian phalanx obsolete in the process. And now I want to talk about how this war how this battle specifically went. So this is where it is, Cynocephalae. And so forces were evenly matched. Okay, this is the beginning of this battle. So forces were evenly matched, consisting of 25,000 infantry and 2,000 cavalry. Flamininus also had 20 elephants. During the march, there were heavy rainstorm, and the morning after, there was a fog all over the hills and fields separating both camps. So you see, it's shown here, this is the Macedonian phalanx, and this is the Roman forces, and this is the hill. So it's not like a flat territory. Phalanx doesn't usually operate very well in the hilly territory, but they had no choice because there was that hill here, and they started to fight for it. It kind of was somewhat disorganized, and it went like this. So Philip sent a small force to take this hill. Flamininus, still unaware of Philip's location, sent out some cavalry and light infantry to reconnoiter, which engaged Philip's troops on the hill. The battle on the hill grew fierce, and Flamininus sent 500 cavalry and 2,000 infantry as reinforcement, mostly Aetolians, forcing Philip's men to withdraw further up the hill. Philip now sent more men into the melee, his Macedonian and Thessalian cavalry, who drove the Roman down the hill until Aetolian cavalry stabilized the situation. So that's what happened here. This is the time when Macedonians drove Romans down the hill, and here Aetolian cavalry came along and kind of situation stabilized right here. Still a bit disorganized, but now they're descending the hill. So Flamininus positioned his troops on the field as well. His left wing, he left his right wing in reserve. This is the right wing right here with elephants here. And he went into command the left wing because he understood that that's where the everything was taking place. And as the Romans left wing slowly being driven back, right here, Flamininus went and took command of the right wing and attacked the left wing of Philip's army. So Philip's right wing was now on the higher grounds than the Roman wing. So Philip's was already on the hill. So, but the Roman legions did not break and fought fiercely. However, Philip's left wing and the center, commanded by Nicanor, this is the left wing of Philip, never managed to form up properly. You see, they as it shows here, they just kind of like catching up. They didn't form properly. So the Romans' right wing attacked the Macedonians and was more successful than the Roman left. And Flamininus concentrated his attack on Nicanor and the Macedonian left. And now the battle was balanced. Flamininus sent his elephants charging into the phalangites, and they panicked. So the elephants sent here, and they panicked, and the Romans started to advance. Okay, after breaking through and gaining ground, one of the Roman tribunes in command stationed on the inside left edge of the now advanced Roman right wing, on his own authority, detached 20 maniples of heavy infantry, in total numbering around 2,000 men, spun them around and led them to the left and back to attack Macedonian center and left wing from behind and the side. That's what it shows happen right here. So the Macedonian phalangites were unable to reposition themselves and form up to face this new attack as quickly as Roman maniples could maneuver to exploit the opportunity. So and that's really what shows here why Macedonian phalanx became obsolete. It's not maneuverable enough, because for them to reposition to for this attack, it takes some time, and they were attacked practically unprotected by Sarissus. So at some point, Macedonian raised their Sarissus as a symbol of surrender. When they put them upright, it means that they surrender. Either the Romans did not understand this signal or they just ignored it. There was complete panic in Macedonian ranks, and now surrounded by both wings of the Roman legion. They suffered heavy casualties and fled. And after brief pursuit, Flaminius allowed Philip to escape. According to Polybius and Livy, 8,000 Macedonians have been killed. Flaminius also took 5,000 prisoners, and the Romans lost only about 700 killed. So it is generally perceived that with the later Battle of Pydna, which is in the next war, the defeat demonstrated the superiority of Roman legion over Macedonian phalanx. The phalanx, though very powerful head-on, was not as flexible as Roman manipular formation, and thus unable to adapt to changing conditions of the battlefield or break away from the engagement if necessary. So that's that. So what's interesting happened, as you know, the Roman army changed significantly since it's abandoned the phalanx structure back during this Second Samnite War, early on in 315, I think, and then they started to organize with manipulus, and later on, after defeat at Cannae, they modernized even more and made kind of legion much more effective. Major modification happened much later during the Gaius Marius, but at this point they're still much more superior. So while this campaign was taking place, the consul's brother, Lucius Quintus Flaminius, has taken control of the Roman fleet and sailed to Athens. And he rendezvoused with Pergamon and Rhodian fleet near Euboea. Eretria was taken after fierce fighting. Let me see. Yeah, so you see, this is the Euboea, Eretria, because this was part of the Macedonian kingdom. Okay, so Eretria was taken. A lot of cities surrendered. Entire island of Euboea was now in Roman control, and the fleet traveled back around Attica and placed Corinth under siege. So this is the Corinth. So they went. So from there, Athenians sent ambassadors to the Achaean League in order to bring them into the war on the Roman side. League held an assembly to decide how to respond. It was extremely contentious. So representative of Argos, which had particularly strong ties with Philip, left the meeting, and the rest of the assembly voted to join anti-Macedonian alliance. Final peace was made with Philip in spring of 196 BCE. Philip was forced to surrender, give up all the Greek cities he had conquered, and pay Rome 1,000 talents, but his kingdom was left intact to serve as a buffer between Greece and Illyria. This displeased the Achaean League, Rome's ally in Greece, who wanted Macedon to be dismantled completely. Philip had to surrender his whole navy, except for his flagship, while his army was limited to a maximum of 5,000 men, could not include elephants, and could not be led beyond his borders without permission of Roman state. So that's kind of the conditions that Romans put on him. This is the way to neutralize Macedonia. It was no longer relevant because they couldn't have an army or fleet. So at the Isthmian Games, so you would know this is the isthmus, okay? This is the passage between Peloponnesus and Attica. So, and the Isthmian Games, there we go. That's this a good picture of it. On May 196, Flamininus proclaimed the freedom of the Greeks, met with general rejoicing of those who were attending at the games. The inclusion of Greek cities of Asia was also aimed at undermining the influence and plans of Antiochus III Seleucid. We're talking about when he proclaimed freedom of Greek cities, he included specifically Ionian cities as well. That was kind of warning to Antiochus III. So Flamininus just was fluent in Greek and was great admirer of Greek culture, and Greeks hailed him as their liberator. They minted coins with his portrait. I think you've seen the coin. Let me see again. Well, that's the coin with his portrait. Okay, according to Livy, this was an act of unselfish Philhellene, although it seems more likely that Flaminin understood freedom as liberty for aristocracy of Greece and would then become clients of Rome as opposed to being subjected to Macedonian hegemony. With his Greek allies, Flamininus plundered Sparta before returning to Rome in triumph, along with thousands of freed slaves, 1,200 of whom were freed from Achaia, having been taken captive and sold in Greece during the Second Punic War. That was very important. Again, just to see, this is the Achaia right here. So during the Punic War, there was a major place where the slaves were sold. So Carthaginians sold a lot of Roman soldiers to this area. Now they were freed and returned back to Rome as Roman citizens. So in 194, all Roman troops were withdrawn from Greece, where Flamininus was given divine honors. In Rome, he celebrated an unprecedented 3-day triumph. That's according to Livy. And the Greeks erected a bronze statue with Greek inscription for him. Flamininus' success was built on an ambiguity. For Greeks, the proclamation of freedom meant self-rule, but in Roman law, a freed slave, libertus, became the client of his former master and still owed his patron respect and political obedience. So it's kind of, there was implied misunderstanding there. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. So let's have questions and comments
Let me
additions.
just jump in for a minute with an apology. I mixed up the Macedonian War, so the things that I was saying before about the First Macedonian War were really about the second, so I apologize for that.
Okay. So any more comments, any questions? Let me see.
So is this going, after that, does Philip become subdued, or we will come to that in the third war, or, we already spoken, we kind of jumped ahead and did the Seleucid Wars. And so what happens? Was there any indemnity that he had to pay?
Yes, he had to pay 1,000 talents. He had to he couldn't have a fleet. He only could have one flagship that he had, but military fleet was taken away from him, and his army was limited to 5,000. So, and he couldn't take any actions outside of borders of his reduced kingdom without Rome's permission. That means that if he would have started recruitment of new troops, the news would come to Rome and Rome would take action right away. He was in a very diminished capacity. I mean, well, it didn't, I mean, he was still trying to, reclaim something, trying to have maybe in the future, he was not completely, they could have, at this point, Romans could have dismantled Macedonia entirely. They decided that it's not in their interests to remove Macedonia because they wanted as a buffer. Probably, I don't know, probably a smart choice, because there was a lot of other players in the region.
Two questions.
Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't quite understand the origins of the war completely, and what happened to Korea.
To happen to what?
Question,
Caria?
Yeah, Korea, yeah.
Yeah, Caria right here, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, Caria, I believe, honestly, I know that Pergamon expressed the interest, and I believe Caria became part of the Pergamon kingdom.
Well, what about the origins of the war? I didn't quite grasp that. What were the main causes of the origins of the war?
The origins of the war is because Philip was seeking expansion. What he first of all, he wanted to take advantage of the weakening Egypt, and with Seleucid kingdom, they while Seleucid attacked Egypt in Levant, he actually sailed into Aegean Sea and took some of the Egyptian islands, like Samos was one of them. It was Ptolemaic Egypt still had some of the islands, and he took some of those islands. He also had issue with Pergamon that was under Rome's had alliance with Rome later on, and Rhodos, and he actually trying to expand and becoming very dangerous for Rome, because they already had this. It's similar to the conflict that happened with Carthage. Carthage became it was kind of like a conflict. There could be only one ruler, so Carthage becoming a very prominent, and they were destined to collide with Rome. Same thing happening with Macedonia. At this point, Macedonia started to become too powerful, started to emerge as the most powerful. And as you could see that the Seleucid kingdom is kind of removed, but the Macedonia is the immediate neighbor of Rome, and the natural enemy. Now they're fighting for power in Greece. So this is the question: is who is going to dominate the Greece, Macedonia or Rome? And Rome feels that Macedonia is becoming too dangerous. And as they said, once they put a siege to Athens, the Romans were afraid that the next thing there will be Macedonian troops in Italy, very similar to what happened in with Carthage. You remember I was talking about the city Saguntum in Spain when Hannibal made a siege on Saguntum. They appealed to Rome for help, and Rome didn't help. But after taking Saguntum, Hannibal crossed the Alps and was on Roman territory. It was a horrible war. They were afraid that the same thing will happen with Macedonia. Once they take Athens, you know, this is a measure, they probably going to completely dominate. At this point, you know, they still, you know, they don't completely control Greece. They kind of nominally have some overlordship, but they don't control. But after taking Athens, they would have probably taken the whole Greece. And what Romans were afraid is that the next thing, they will have to face Macedonian army on Italian territory, and they wanted to be proactive and start the conflict in Greece. So that's what happened. And as a result, you know, they after all of these wars, this was not the last war. There was a third Macedonian war. They came out as lords of Greece. The Rome dominated Greece completely. Eventually, Greece became a Roman province.
All right, so $1 million question. If
Yeah.
early enough, Philip V, the Antiochus, the Hannibal, kind of got their, you know, stuff together and united, would they be able to crash Rome in one swoop?
Probably. I mean, the Rome couldn't even take Hannibal. It's been a long struggle. As you know, you remember that Philip made an alliance with Hannibal at some point, but he did not act on it. He didn't. He made an alliance, but he didn't send the troops into Italy at the time, and that was another thing. The Romans really understood that Philip is their enemy, because at the time of their dire circumstances, he made alliance with Hannibal, and they would never forget him. He became mortal enemy after that, you know, because it was an existential period, and he showed himself as the opportunist who would, the only thing he was more interested in conquering more territory in Illyria and controlling more of a Greece. But if he would wanted to send his army into Italy at the time when Hannibal was there, we're talking about 2005, the war was not finished. Who knows what would have happened? I'm not even talking about the Seleucid kingdom, but the Rome at this point see him as the major enemy number one. After they got rid of Hannibal, he is the enemy number one, and they expect this conflict end up in Italy if they don't act.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's the aspect of it was very funny when Philip V sent you know, the ambassador to Xenophonus, his name. He sent an ambassador to the Hannibal. He get captured by Roman troops, and they search him, and he says, no, we came to to have a deal with you guys, not with Hannibal, with Romans. And so they let him pass. He goes to Hannibal. They, you know, they have an agreement. He comes back. Roman capture him again on his way back. Like, well, what is this? Well, why there is an agreement between, you know, the Philip V and Hannibal? And of course, they already knew by then that, you know, he was a trouble. You know.
Right. So yeah, not only trouble, he became a mortal enemy at this point, because in their difficult situations, he actually stabbed them in the back, just not hard enough, but he stabbed them in the back. They will never forget that, you know. And they actually, now as he becoming more you know, powerful in Greece, and would become like, if he would have dominated the Greece and started to get the army, like, and mobilize Greeks into his army, you know, he would be like a major force. So they acted properly ahead of time. And that's the major argument was that we have to help Athens, because if Athens fall, then you know what's going to happen next.
But it's always interesting, the camaraderie. Yeah? Demetrius of Illyria goes to Philip V and kind of instigates him. You know, you're good to apply your force and maybe even invade Italy. And then you have also Hannibal, and a different case when you get defeated in Zama, goes to Antiochus, even though they say that he didn't really say anything to Antiochus. And Antiochus now assumes he wants to, attack Greece and Italy. So there's always a camaraderie of one person, tells the other, "You're the man. Why don't you go do it?" and then they end up, meeting Rome, and that's all she wrote, basically.
And anyway, did I answer that question, or do you have more questions, more clarifications?
Who are you talking to?
I don't know who asked the question originally.
Dan left, actually.
Oh, he already left?
Yeah. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
No problem. I think he probably got
Greg, could you please clarify the fate of freed slaves, former Roman soldiers?
Oh, they
Depends on.
Yeah, that's one of the things. What happened is that as a part of this agreement, Flamininus, because Achaean League came to Roman side, and as a part of this agreement alliance, they released all the Roman citizens, who approximately 1,200 former soldiers in Punic War, who were actually they were captured anywhere in Rome, no, not in Rome, in Italy, because Hannibal was there, and they were sent to Greece. They were sold as slaves, and especially in this area of Achaean League, they sold as slaves. So as a part of this agreement, all of these slaves were released and returned to Rome because they were Roman citizens.
Yeah, but you mentioned they were somehow limited in their rights. I want to clarify, if you can clarify this.
Did I say that?
At least I understood they have to, they either didn't have voting rights or they had something to align this with their former, I don't know, something was said, which that's exactly the reason I am asking clarification.
No, you must have misunderstood me.
Okay.
No, they retained their full rights. Oh, okay. What I was talking about, the Flaminian declaration to the Greeks. He said that the Greeks were free states. Okay, he said that the Greeks now will be free, but in Roman law, what I meant slaves, the Greek were slaves to Macedonia in a way, because they were defended, and he, by releasing Greeks and making them independent and free, he kind of released them from their of slavery to Macedon, and by this they, in a way, in Roman law, became clients of Rome. All the Greeks became clients of Rome, and were obligated, as far as Romans understood, to be politically obedient to Rome, while Greeks, they didn't understand it like that. It was ambiguous. They thought like, oh, now we're free. Now we're free. We're completely free. Thanks to him, they glorified him. But he put some ambiguity there because he knew the Roman law. And by making this declaration, in a way, he, without their knowledge of Greeks, obligated them to Rome.
So not Greek states, but these particular Greeks who were freed from slavery.
No. From Achaean leagues, it was not Greeks who were freed. It was Romans. It was Roman slaves. They were veterans of the war. They were taken captives by Hannibal, were sold into Achaean League. So they were completely released. That's a different issue. All the Greek states were announced to be free. So by Roman law, because they were not completely free, they were under dominion of Macedonia.
Mhm.
Okay, now they became free. So by Roman law, they were considered like freed slaves. They were freed.
I understand. I understand.
You understand?
So did Rome use the client's position somehow, a clientele position or not?
Well, later on, the Rome already felt that the Greece is
Their client.
client kingdoms of Rome. That's
Okay.
how they thought of them now.
Okay. But were there any practical implications of this thought, or it was just?
As a result, Rome continued the wars and made the Greece a Roman province later on.
Okay, thanks.
One question I have is, can you talk about this practice by the Greeks to raise their cereses once they give up themselves? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's not only it's a Macedonians. Once they raise them vertically up, that means that they surrender. So they become very vulnerable, and that was kind of like one of the customs. But the Romans ignored that and massacred them anyway. So that's what happens. That's all I know.
Yeah, I mean, that could have served to Greek states as a warning. What are you really getting? Because I remember in the First Punic War, when they attacked the city Agrigentum, Romans, they completely destroyed the city, and the other Greek states then defected to Carthage because of the fact that it was completely decimated the city, and they said they didn't want it to happen to their cities.
Mhm.
So it's interesting in that regard. Anyway, Greg, thank you. This was a very detailed, incredible presentation. Thank you so much. I just wanted to remind everybody, we still have one more tomorrow. We're going to talk about movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe being a main role. And obviously his character is fictitious, but Sergio and I will we'll just put up the movie and we'll talk about the discrepancies as history is concerned. So there's going to be a lot of them, and some of them may be just cinematographic discrepancies, not necessarily historical. So if you have something that you saw in the movie that you didn't like, or it was kind of not what it's supposed to be history, please do voice your opinion tomorrow, and then we can put that clip from the movie, and then we can watch that. So basically, we're going to be watching the movie, stopping at the moment where we see something that doesn't make any sense, or maybe we'll just go to the moment where things are different from history. So that's tomorrow. Tuesday, we're going to go to Timur Lane. Timur Lane had
What
killed
time tomorrow?
tomorrow at 6
Okay, good.
6 p.m. Yeah, surgery, having some work conflict, so I moved it to 6.
Tomorrow is Sunday. You said Tuesday? Is it tomorrow Sunday?
This is tomorrow. I was just talking about Tuesday. We have a presentation too on a different
Okay,
subject.
got
Tomorrow
it.
is
Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock tomorrow.
6 o'clock tomorrow. And
Thank you. Easter time.
Eastern
Yes.
time, yes.
Okay.
And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk about Timur Lane, who on percentage basis killed more people than anybody in history. And particularly, he's well known throughout Middle East and Asia Minor, everywhere basically. And so that we're going to talk about Timur Lane, and then on Wednesday we're going to talk about Sharia law, which is we'll have a Islamic scholar who's going to talk about answer questions, and people have questions on Sharia law. You'll do a 45-minute presentation. Last one was pretty good. The person is very soft-spoken. There is absolutely no ideas passed that are not not according to our compliance to our group, where we're all friendly and the questions are very friendly. I mean, there was some hard questions that were asked, and he was able to answer. And so watch the video, and I'll post this video there as well today. So those are two presentations next week, and then tomorrow we have a presentation. And then Paul is going to do on the 20th the expansion in Italy by Rome, which is a little bit earlier than what Greg has spoken today about, and particularly some nights were second and third war. So do join us and then look at the schedule for all our presentations. I'll send the schedule around today again. I made some updates. We have some really good presentation. We're going to talk about Stoicism by Aurelius. We're going to talk about women in Islam. We have archaeology in Asia, which is, Alex C is going to present. We're going to talk about the Third Punic War and the Third Macedonian War and destruction of Carthage. And there's plenty of really good ones. So do join us. And I wish everybody, thank you, Greg, again for the great presentation, and wish everybody a great weekend, rest of the weekend. And I'll see you tomorrow, if not Tuesday, Wednesday, if not whenever you guys join us. Thank you so much. And new people, thank you for joining us. And we'll talk to you when you join us again. And maybe we'll do a little bit of introduction. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Greg,
Thank
you.
stay good. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Good job.
weekend.
Take care. Bye.